You know, growing up in DC, public service is all around you. You know, without patting oneself on the back, I think I've kind of found my niche. The details of the operations of government is something that I enjoy doing. I'm Boyd Rutherford, and I am the Lieutenant Governor of Maryland. I grew up in Washington, D.C., finished out at Howard University. I went on to law school, practiced law in California for a number of years. I also met my wife during that time. We went out, probably she'd tell you the worst date she'd ever been on. We went to, I want to say it was a Chinese food restaurant, and the air conditioning wasn't working, and there was no one else in there. And I think I was boring her half to death. But she still went out with me again. 31 years later, 3 kids, and we're still together. So we decided we would come back here. Left law practice, got an opportunity to work at GSA in the Bush administration. I went to become the Secretary of Maryland Department of General Services and stayed there for a little more than 3 years, and then was called back to the Bush administration, where I was an Assistant Secretary at Agriculture. Had the privilege of being Senate confirmed. Nothing like what you see on television for my confirmation. I mean, I've known Larry for a number of years. We became close during the Ehrlich administration. And even in the years since then, we would entertain our families would entertain together, different events. And I knew that he was thinking about running for governor. We have a time frame when we want to make the announcement, that he was going to make his announcement, and then a week later he wanted to announce that I was going to be the running mate. I mean, it was interesting, interesting campaigning. I think most people see presidential campaigns and they think about, oh, this must be grueling, and you're running around and people are yelling at you and things of that nature. We weren't getting people yelling at us because no one knew who we were. And they didn't expect us to win. And I remember this one woman coming up the street and she was like, well, who are you guys? Are you guys, what, independents or something? Because we know you're not Democrats. And I said, no, we're Republicans. No. She was, had not dealt with any Republicans before. And it was like, the worst thing that happened. And then after talking to her for a while, she said, I'm with you all. And the main thing that people were saying is that no one had come to that neighborhood. During the campaign, as we were running around the state, you'd often ask, what is the biggest issue you're confronting here? And it didn't matter if you're talking to the local police department or sheriff's department. And it was interesting because, we knew, Governor and I knew that heroin's been an issue in Baltimore for years. But we were hearing it not only in Baltimore, but we were hearing it in small Eastern Shore communities like Hurlock, or in Frederick, or in Western Maryland, Cumberland, and places of that nature, that this was the biggest issue that they were confronting. Not that it was a issue, just the biggest issue they were confronting. And so the governor said early on during the campaign that once selected, he would put together a commission that he would ask me to chair to try to find solutions to this particular challenge. And so in the years since then, there's been legislation to assist us with the prescription drug monitoring program, enhancing that, making it mandatory. I've always said that virtually every 3rd grader can tell you how unhealthful cigarette smoking is, but they can't tell you how dangerous it is to take someone else's medications. So the cigarette example is where it shows that you can start early with teaching young people and kids in particular. Overdose deaths from prescription opioids has gone down in the state. Overdose deaths from heroin has gone down in the state. But what is killing people now is the synthetic opioid fentanyl that's being mixed in with heroin and other things. It's a continuing challenge that we have to continue to address. I think the governor has a good relationship. He's very comfortable with the African American community. And I think that's largely because he grew up in an area with a lot of African Americans around him that he played with every day as a young boy. And I think the big thing is people see that he's just an ordinary guy. And what he does in terms of policy initiatives is for the benefit of everybody. People need to remember where we were 4 years ago. when we were losing businesses, when 48% of the people of Maryland said they would move if they had the opportunity, when we had lost over 100,000 jobs, and now we have an unemployment rate that is lower than it's been. Businesses are growing and developing in the state. We've turned the state around. People feel comfortable with the direction that the state is heading. So why would you make that change now when we've had so much progress over the last 4 years?